Hey guys, it's Joel and welcome back to the channel. Now, if you're here for the first time, please make yourselves at home, and if you do like anything that you see or find anything at all useful, make sure you subscribe and leave a like for plenty of upcoming videos. In today's video then, I'm going to try something slightly different, and we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to improve your driving. Now, this is a video I've wanted to film for a while because these are some techniques that I use which for me have really helped improve my driving, and I'd like to pass them on to you. So first things first, I just want to say these are my techniques, my tips. This isn't facts, this isn't the Bible. Some people will disagree with these, but these are just things that I do which I think have improved my driving. Anyway, let's get right into the video. Okay then, so why don't you jump in the car with me and I can talk to you about 5 ways in which I think you can improve your driving. Okay then, so you now join me in the car, and the first way in which I think you can improve your driving, just to keep you confused, doesn't actually involve me driving because it is your seating position. Having the correct seating position definitely helps you to feel more connected to the car and absolutely more in control as well, which is very important for safety. Now, there's 2 ways you often see people driving which I don't think are correct in any sense for either of them. The first way, which you you see worryingly quite a lot, is people sitting really far forward on top of the steering wheel. I don't even know how people sit like that comfortably, but you do see this shockingly quite a lot. People looking down at the steering wheel with their hands on top like this. That isn't very safe. Again, everyone drives how they like and that is fine, but that is certainly not the way in which you're going to be most control of the car and be most connected with the car as well. The other way, which is the complete reverse, as I'm sure you can imagine here, is people that like to recline all the way like they are on a sun lounger, and they can barely grasp the wheel with one hand. That's not very good either if you want to feel connected with the car. I know it might look cool, but it's not very good to do it that way. So, the way you should do it, and again, I can't stress enough, this is just the way I've been told and shown to do it properly, is to sit, roughly position your seat so that when you fully depress the clutch with your left leg, there is a slight bend in your leg still. Likewise, you should be able to stick your wrists over the top of the wheel and have a slight bend in your elbows. So it shouldn't be so far forward that you can barely grab it with your hands, and it shouldn't be so close that you can put your elbows over it, but if you can get your wrists over it, straight in front of you, and there's a slight kink in your elbows, that's about right. The other super important thing for having most control over the car and most feeling of the car is to have your hands in the right position on the wheel. Now, I think traditionally in our driving tests and our driving lessons, this is how I was taught anyway, is that you're meant to drive in the 10 and 2 position, the 10 to 2, which looks something like this. This is how you see most people driving, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. However, racing drivers, because I'm a racing driver, they will drive at the 9 and 3 position. Even this wheel shows you that there's grooves here made for your thumbs. So this car was clearly designed to be driven in the 9 and 3 position. But certainly going around corners, driving in this position, it just really helps you feel connected to the car. Driving like this around a hairpin bend doesn't feel right at all. 9 and 3 is where you want to be if you want to have the most control over the car. Again, for everyday cruising, and I'm sure in certain parts of this video I'll be driving like this and like this, so actually, you know, it's not super important, but I think if you're on it and you really want to feel the most connected to the car as possible, 9 and 3 is the way to go. Okay then, so now on the move, I want to mention the second way in which I feel you could improve your driving. It's a pretty obvious one, and it's something that lots of people obviously understand and do anyway, but I'm sure it's something that lots of people don't understand and don't do. So, the second way in which I feel you can improve your driving is to use your gears efficiently. Now, what does that mean? I guess that means you want to use your gears so you've got the right balance between power and fuel economy at all times. Now, again, this is something that varies from car to car and can be debated on exactly which is the right way to do it. However, generally speaking, the higher the gear you're in, as in 5, 6 being higher than 3 and 4, the less fuel you're going to be burning. Now that isn't strictly true because it does depend how much throttle input you're putting in. Arguably, me flooring it in 6th gear is actually going to burn more fuel than me just using 30% throttle in 3rd gear. However, every car does have a balance, and what I'm suggesting is that you do just pay attention to what your car's balance is. In my car, for example, we're now pottering along at 35 miles per hour on a fairly flat, if anything, downhill road. I'm in 6th gear, which puts my revs at about 1,200 RPM. Most people would probably be questioning why I'm in such a high gear, but actually this isn't labouring the engine at all. I'm barely burning any fuel, and I know that lots of people go by the rule of 30 miles an hour 3rd gear, 40 miles an hour 4th gear, and although for some cars that might be the case, newer cars which have got more gears and are more efficient definitely don't need to be sitting in 3rd gear at 30 miles per hour. And whilst we're talking about gears, that brings me on nicely to the 3rd point, which is also about gearing and about rev matching. Now this isn't so much a sensible suggestion that I'm saying everyone should be doing because it is a better way to drive. However, if you do like to drive sportily and fast sometimes, especially into corners, rev matching is a way that you can actually optimise your braking and get the most performance out of your car. So, what is rev matching? I know a lot of people talk about it, but not everyone understands exactly what it is. It is essentially what it says on the tin. If I'm cruising along now at 35 miles per hour in 5th gear, however, I want to be in 2nd gear, I will just add some throttle, and by the time I've taken my foot off the clutch, I'm already at the right revs for 2nd gear at this speed. If I was to do that exact same thing in 5th gear at 35 miles per hour, change into 2nd but not add any throttle, this is what would happen. The whole car lurches forward as the revs match up when I lift off the clutch. All you're doing when rev matching is just adding that throttle input so that the car doesn't have to lurch forward and build up the revs itself. Now, I'm sure what I've just said there makes absolutely no technical sense, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Now, it probably isn't something, it's not a serious suggestion because it's not something you actually need to do to improve your driving, but it certainly would improve your enjoyment of driving because it is very satisfying when you get the right revs and you get the car into gear, and then as an extension to rev matching, this is also referred to as heel and towing. Now this is when you're on the brakes as well. So if you need to downshift, but you're also braking, so maybe you're braking hard into a corner, that is what's called heel and towing, where you match the revs but you're also on the brakes. It is quite simply, you're braking and you're just going to add some throttle input with the heel of your braking foot and match the revs that way whilst you're braking. Okay, so as we briefly just touched on cornering with heel and towing, that brings me nicely onto my 4th point. And the 4th way in which I think you can improve your driving is braking before a corner. So anticipating how slow you need to be going before a corner before you get there, if that makes sense. This is so that you can avoid braking round the corner, because braking on a corner or around a corner does upset the stability and balance of your car to an extent. So it's much more advisable to brake before a corner and then accelerate through it as opposed to coasting around it or braking on it. You'll feel it, it will give your car slightly more stability and it will appear to have more grip. Now, I'm not saying you need to be absolutely flooring, downshifting, heel and towing into every corner, 2nd gear, flooring it around the corner, getting it opposite lot. I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply just saying try and avoid braking on the corner and just slightly accelerating through it, and it will give you a higher sense of control over the car. Now, I do acknowledge that this is not really something that's that important. For most people driving to work every day, they don't go above 40 miles per hour, and actually you know, it might upset your balance a little bit going around a corner and braking, but it's not going to throw you off the road. So I do appreciate that is a very, very small thing. But as a practice, there's absolutely nothing wrong with nailing that every time you go around any corner, and then maybe, you know, that time that you're going for a little bit of a spirited drive at higher speeds, it will come in handy if it's second nature. So the fifth and final way in which I think you can improve your driving is, again, a really obvious and simple one, but something that people seem to forget, myself included. It is just remind yourself to check your mirrors frequently, all the time. The amount of times I get cut up by people, the amount of times I've probably cut people up because I just have forgotten, or it's not in my brain the whole time to check my mirrors. It's really, really annoying and sometimes dangerous, of course. So yeah, I can't stress enough, guys, it is so, so important that you do check your mirrors all the time. Even when you think you've got that periphery and you know what's around you. I've been caught out so many times where, you know, dare I say it, maybe I've even almost caused accidents because I just haven't, you know, I've been complacent and I've not checked my mirrors. So just make sure you're checking your mirrors all the time. You'll definitely find that it gives you a better awareness of what's going on around you, and that is absolutely key to being a good driver and for you guys to be better drivers. Right then, guys, there we have it. So there's 5 ways that you can improve your driving. Now, as I've mentioned 100 times, they're just my ways, they're my tips. That's not the Bible, that's not fact. Everyone's got their own opinions. If you disagree with anything I've said, please do let me know in the comments. If you agree, give it a thumbs up, I guess. And if you've got any other ways in which you think I can improve my driving, or you want to share with this ever-growing community, please do comment below and share it with all of us. If you liked this content, give it a thumbs up, because I'd be intrigued to film more like this. I can't film everything about my Z4 because there is only so much you can say about the Z4, but don't worry, there will be more Z4 content coming. But yes, if you did enjoy this video and you enjoy this kind of content, do give it a thumbs up and let me know down below, because maybe I could film a 5 things that make you a bad driver video. But yeah, let me know. Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate all of your views. I appreciate all of you getting in touch with me, mainly on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Links are below if you don't follow me on those. But until next video, guys, I guess I will see you very, very soon.